Okay, the next one that I'm going to talk about is something referred to as a DDoS, or a distributed denial of service attack. Now, a DDoS is a large-scale attack against a target, all right, whether it be a single computer or a computer network. And it's comprised typically of something referred to as a botnet. And now a botnet is an army of zombies, basically hosts on the internet that are controlled by bot herders and a command and control center, or a CNC center. Now what happens with this is the CNC is going to issue a command or commands to that botnet zombie army, all right, and it's going to initiate an attack against that target. Now that could be dozens, hundreds, thousands, or potentially even millions of zombies comprising this botnet army. In essence, it's a large-scale attack against a single entity. So most web servers, as an example, could handle 300, 400, maybe 1,000 connections at once. But if you have 10,000, 50,000, 100,000 connections coming in rapidly, all at once, over and over and over again, well, that's going to wipe out or bring down that specific server or that service. All right, so it's also referred to as a denial of service attack if you have a much smaller scale. All right, so if you hear the term DDoS or DOS, it's the same concept. Denial of service is an attack from one attacking machine or a couple machines kind of grouped together attacking a single entity. Whereas a distributed denial of service attack is coming from a lot of different places, could be potentially global against a single target, or like I said, a single company. Now, as an example, here is a graphical representation of an attack, kind of real time as it was coming in from points around the globe to targets within the United States. All right, so this application, Norse, is showing, and you can see on the left and on the right, the attack origins and the attack targets. So we have 1,836 in this specific example, attacks coming from China to the United States. All right, so you can see 1,800 attacks, give or take, coming from, and an attacking target is the United States, 2,519 attacks in this specific scenario. So there are applications and there's groups and companies and so forth that monitor these attacks real time, worldwide, globally. Next, we have something referred to as a Smurf attack. Now, a Smurf attack is similar in nature to a distributed denial of service attack in that it can bring down a specific host inside of a network. All right, so it's a DDoS type of an attack. What happens here is a victim's IP address is spoofed. And when we say that IP address is spoofed, we mean an attacker is going to assume the IP address of a victim. All right, so they're going to take that IP address and make it their own. They're going to masquerade it as their own. All right, so that spoofed IP address is then broadcast out. It's sent out as a broadcast, an ICMP message, right, an Internet Control Message Protocol, or a ping, that's going to be sent out as a broadcast to a computer network. Well, what happens when you ping something? It replies back, right? So if you ping something, if you ping all the hosts on a network, they're all going to reply back. Well, recipients of that ICMP message, they're going to respond with the victim's IP address, because remember, it's spoofed. So the malicious attacker is going to basically lob a ping packet, a broadcast, into that network with a victim IP. All the hosts on that network, on that segment, are going to reply back to what they think is the host, and in this case, it's just an innocent victim. It's going to be bombarded with all these packets and basically bring that machine either to a grinding halt, or at least slow it down, or to shut it down completely to the point where it's unusable. So several mitigation steps that administrators can take would be to disallow computers from responding to ICMP requests or broadcasts. Okay, that can be set via policy within your network. And then we can also make sure that our routers are configured to not forward broadcasts, right? So that's been default on routers for many years now. So these types of attacks are not as frequent as they used to be, but it definitely will pay to make sure that your policies are set properly and also that your routers are configured properly. Okay, and chances are they are already, but it's worth double checking to make sure that you're not forwarding these type of broadcast packets. So as an example, just a high level illustration, here we have an attacker's PC. All right, they're going to send a directed broadcast with that victim's IP spoofed, as I mentioned. So as they send that out, because in this case the router's passing that broadcast packet, right? Routers typically don't, so this type of attack may or may not be applicable in your environment, but let's just say for argument's sake that it is in fact forwarding those broadcast packets. Well, it's going to forward that out to every host on that network. Okay, we have one victim computer, right, the spoofed IP address, and all the rest are simply going to respond back to that ping request. So what happens is once they all receive that ping, they're going to turn around and then respond back. Now, In this illustration, you see we have, maybe 8 or 10 PCs, but imagine if that were 100 or, several hundred PCs on a specific LAN segment, on a specific network, all right, or even more, right, thousands of PCs. If you have all of those PCs at once responding back to that victim PC, they're going to open up sessions, right, they're going to try to communicate, and it's going to bring that victim PC to a screeching halt.